Welcome to the Aledo Bearcats Coaches Show Podcast, a presentation of Real Country 92.1 Hank FM and NTXVarsitySports.com. Live from Parker County Brewing Company in Willow Park. The Aledo Bearcats Coaches Show Podcast is brought to you by H5 Sports Barn in Aledo and Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth. And now, here's the voice of the Bearcats, Kevin Lonnquist.
Hello and welcome to the Aledo Coaches Show Podcast. I'm Kevin Lonnquist. We are here at Parker County Brewing Company, just off of Ranch House Road in eastern Parker County. We will bring you every podcast from this location throughout the 2025-26 school year. As always, we want to thank our two main sponsors between H5 Sports Barn and Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth. We continue to appreciate their support of this podcast as well as Aledo Athletics. The Class 5A state basketball playoffs are upon us. The good news is that the Lady Cats are through the first round. Yes, they won, so more about that in a few moments. And the Bearcats start their playoff run next week. But if you haven't heard, we are proud to share with you that our high school sports website, NTXVarsitySports.com, is streaming for both the boys and girls playoff runs. It started this past Monday when the Lady Cats played Colleyville Heritage. It continues on Thursday when the 14th-ranked Lady Cats take on Joshua in the Class 5A Division I Region I area playoff. That's at Godley High School. Aledo is 25-7. Joshua is 34-4. It's a 6 o'clock tip-off. NTXVarsitySports.com will have the coverage starting with the pregame show at 5:30, and then all of the action to follow. So please spread the word on the site. The Lady Cats took care of business in their opening playoff against Colleyville Heritage this past Monday. Aledo built a 20-2 lead after the first quarter and cruised to a 48-21 victory at Eagle Mountain High School. Leading the way in scoring was Tiara Butler. She actually had a double-double, 13 points, 11 rebounds. Liz Griffin, three-point sniper with 9 points from her shooting hand. We're also going to be doing this for the boys next week. The Bearcats are 26-6, and they open up the 5A Division I Region I playoffs next Tuesday. It's a surprise matchup, but hey, you're going to play these teams at some point, so go play them now. Aledo faces 6th-ranked Birdville. The Hawks are 27-5. This program was a state finalist last year. That means nothing this year. That playoff game is set for 7 o'clock on Tuesday at Argyle High School. Now, a little context about this. Everything had pointed to Aledo playing Denton Ryan in the opening round of the playoffs, but the surprise was that Richland upset District 5-5A champion Denton High 58-56 in overtime. That knocked Ryan out of the playoffs. Richland clinched, and that's how Aledo got Birdville. The script never follows, does it? Honored to tell you, too, that yours truly will be calling these boys and girls games. I passed Donny Ott's test on Monday, so he's letting me come back on Thursday down in Godley. And then Drew Baker has to approve my performance on Tuesday. Of course, we can tell you that the historic district season also finished with perfection for both the boys and girls teams. Each finished undefeated. The Bearcats won their regular season finale last Friday over Brewer, 49-37. Aledo finished District 5-5A at 12-0. As for next week's podcast, well, stay tuned. It could be Monday, it could be next Wednesday. Depends on what happens with the Lady Cats on Thursday. So listen to the game on NTXVarsitySports.com, and you'll have some idea as to which way we're going to be going next week. Our standard two-segment podcast for you, we start with boys coach Drew Baker and girls coach Donny Ott. Then in our second segment, we'll visit with senior post Townes VanHuysen from the boys and senior post Tiara Butler from the girls. So, gentlemen, nice to have you with us here. And Donny, I'm going to start with you. I feel like I'm interviewing you all over again from Monday's postgame show. But when you looked at the tape following Colleyville Heritage, what were your takeaways? Because there's a difference between what you immediately saw and then you had a chance to digest it and then look again at what you really saw.
Yeah, having a chance to watch the film really kind of put some things into perspective. I thought we did really good in stretches. What just, marred or what kind of made me a little upset about things was I just didn't like, there's about a 4-minute stretch in the third quarter where we just got a little out of whack from what we normally are. And I think I let that 4-minute stretch take my mind off how well we really played in other areas. Mm-hmm. So, but overall, like I said, it was really good when we jumped out to such a great start, up 20-2 in the first quarter. And when you get up that big, sometimes there can be a little complacency, but I thought we followed it up pretty good with the second quarter. That was okay. We just didn't hit shots in the second quarter like we did in the first, so it made the second quarter not look as good. but we executed well. We just didn't knock down the shots that we did in the first quarter.
Yeah, I think the one thing, too, is like teams will, to your point, teams will tend to relax after building such a big lead. As you said, 20-2 after the first quarter. It's 30-9 at halftime, so everyone kind of looks at that. When you've got a 3 starting with your score and the opposing team hasn't hit double figures yet, there's that kind of, a coach can do everything he can to try and pump his team, but the scoreboard is the scoreboard.
Yeah, that's correct. That's what we talked about in the locker room afterwards is I mean, at the end of the day, and they've got to understand what the bigger picture is. And as these playoffs move forward and the games get harder, those lulls or those times where you lax off of your effort, there's not going to be time for that moving forward. So it was a good reflection after the game in the locker room. I really felt like the seniors understood what the message was. We've had a great week of practice this week. Coach Baker was gracious enough to give us a set of boys that came in. They've been really working their tails off against us the last 2 days, so it's been great.
All right. Drew, so much for all this Denton Ryan talk, as we mentioned a few moments ago. But the weird thing about the final district game is that teams are so desperate to make the playoffs. Like you and I were talking before we started recording this, that play at another level. I guess that's what happened with Richland beating Denton in overtime and then knocking Ryan out. And so you're getting Birdville. And so that's just kind of like, even though we've been talking Ryan, you're like, you always have to have that yeah, but part to your preparation.
Yes. We had kind of set our sights on Ryan, and we knew that it was a possibility we weren't going to get it. And so, as you walk around school, the admin are trying to plan and prepare, and they're asking, and we're like, well, it looks like Ryan. But, last night was an interesting night for high school basketball when it comes to teams that we're around and teams that we were going to be affected by. I mean, Richland upsets Denton, which throws off our matchups. And then our district, we had a 3-way tie. We had 2 buzzer beaters in our district, which affects who Denton High and, who they're going to see, big school, small school. But we had film on Birdville, and we watched Birdville play twice in person. So we knew that was a chance, and we've, got some stuff ready to prepare for them. So it hasn't really phased us in that sense. Like, we have to shift gears mentally a little bit, just preparing, because it's a different style than Ryan, but not completely caught off guard.
I was going to say, too, in some respects, there's a certain level of maturity. This team has kind of been through it. They went through it last year. Obviously, it didn't work out in the opening round for them, but they kind of understand the saying, like, you got to be prepared for anything. And so I'm sure, even though they were like you and your staff thinking it's Ryan, there's always that back of the mind, hey, whatever happens, we just got to go out and play.
Yes. And we saw that in practice today. I mean, yesterday we were getting ready for Ryan in our minds, and the day before we were getting ready for – and so today we come in and we're like, hey, it's Birdville. And, we shifted gears a little bit with some things that we wanted to do on the court just because the game plan is going to look a little different. But the work ethic and the attitude didn't, change. So it was good to see. I mean, our guys are very focused right now, very locked in. So I'm excited about the next couple of days to prep. It'll be good.
I was going to say, coaches, though, you guys are creatures of habit. You're so thorough in your details. So it's not like you went out. I remember you saying this a couple weeks ago, I think when we were doing the podcast in the freezing cold outside, that you were sending guys out to Birdville just to watch them, just per chance if that situation were to develop. So you have some sort of history on them throughout the course of the last few weeks. It isn't like we're cramming for a final or anything like that.
No, there's no cramming at all. I mean, fortunately for us, our off night in district, Ryan and Birdville played each other, so we've seen them twice.
Right.
And so again, shifting gears a little bit because it's a different style of play, but weren't caught off guard, and we will be very well prepared. Our guys physically and mentally be prepared, so we're ready.
All right.
It'll be fun.
I'm looking forward to it on Tuesday. Donny, back to your team. The thing I noticed is that the ball movement, especially in the first quarter, pretty textbook stuff, and this is a guy who hasn't seen you all play in quite some time, but still, your full court press on that side of the floor really bothered Heritage. They had difficulty beating that full court press, and then when they did, they kind of got stuck. I thought that Liz did a great job, and of course, I thought that Brooklyn did a great job too, just kind of initiating that press. How would you rate that performance versus what you've seen from other points of the season?
Yeah, I agree. I thought we got on them. We made them, forced them into some bad decisions out of the press. We've kind of made a few changes in our press within what we do, and so it's allowed us to just create some different opportunities for turnovers. Brooke and Liz do a really good job at the head of that press, just kind of creating the pace and getting them forced into sideline traps. I thought T and Kate did a great job in the middle half of that. Even we had Kennedy and Jaylee coming in there as well. They do a good job in that back half. So, I was really pleased with the way it started because we quit pressing about the middle of the second quarter.
Right.
I just felt like it. At that point, it was not necessary. I kind of wanted to grind it out in the half court and just really got to work on some things in the half court.
All right. And then with Tiara Butler, who's going to be joining us here in just a few moments, all-around play, a huge first quarter for her. She averages nearly 13 points per game. I think she was 12.8 coming into it, and so she finished just above her average with 13 points, 11 in the first half, double-double, as we mentioned, 11 rebounds. The other thing that really struck me was 5 steals from her, and the fact that's that all-around performance. So when you've got somebody who has all phases going for her, because I can remember her talking to us last year and how maybe it was like kind of figuring things out, but it looks like she really figured things out on Monday night and the way she's been doing it all season for you.
Yeah, no, I think what I'm most proud about with T the last 3 weeks especially, and she's probably going to be smiling because she knows I'm about to say this, but her fouls have been reduced significantly. So she's learning how to play aggressively without fouling. Initially last year and early in this year, it was aggressive with fouling. But I think that she's done a really good job. Like, she watches so much film. I mean, so much film. Like her and Liz, we got a lot of seniors that put a lot into film. So I think she's really studied her errors and kind of done a great job of seeing when she can take those opportunities and win those risks. And I also think she understands how important she is to our team. And so when she's in foul trouble and has to sit, it changes the dynamic of our team drastically. So I think that's the biggest thing for me. I mean, she ended the game, I think, with 2 fouls maybe the other day. But, I mean, we've looked up the last some games and we're like, hey, how many fouls does T have? It's in the fourth quarter, and they're like 1. And we're like, whoa, 1? This is great. So so she's done a really good job in that. And I think it's just translated in her play. I mean, she had 4 deflections on top of those 5 steals. And those deflections lead to turnovers for us as well. So she's just getting her hands on a lot of balls, which has been great. Okay, now from a stylistic standpoint, the play of the game was one that we called, I think it was in the third quarter, was on the fast break opportunity. Liz was on half court where she saw Tiara streaking down the opposite side. Excellent pass to her on the layup. Here's the big part, though. Here's the big stylistic question. Did Tiara point to Liz on that? Did you point to her and say thanks for the, or did you forget? Did you? Okay, she did point to her. Okay, that's the most important thing about all of that. Okay, Drew, we'll rewind back to your finale last week against Brewer, 49-37, as we mentioned. Lower scoring because you all had been 60 points or better in pretty much all of your other district games. From just an outsider's perspective, maybe it sounded like Brewer wanted to take the air out of the ball, or what kind of happened throughout that ball game last Friday?
Well, I mean, first of all, I thought our defense was really good. That might have been one of our better defensive games. I mean, we held them to 33. I mean, and we gave up a couple. We subbed a little bit and kind of had a lineup in there that wasn't real familiar with each other, and we gave up a couple that we shouldn't have. That let them get up to 39. But I thought defensively we were really tough. And then, yeah, I think the nature, like we didn't get out in transition as much as we normally do. We like to get out in transition in different spurts, and it served us really well. We worked, we call it our horns offense, but we worked our 5-out offense a little bit more and tried to go side to side, make them guard us a little more. And part of that was to just control the tempo of the game. But hats off to Brewer. They came out. They made it tough on us. I mean, it wasn't like it was all us intentionally. They played very tough. So, I mean, it showed me that we can win a game that's going to be, half court grinded out. We have to value the ball. So no, it's not as fun when you score 49 as compared to 60 something.
Right.
Maybe not quite as flashy. But I thought our guys did a great job of valuing the ball, and then I thought our defense was really stellar. I thought we did a really good job there.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, and actually you kind of partially answered my next question about the fact that knowing your team knowing that it can win a game without having to reach a certain scoring figure or scoring total, if you will. So, and maybe the timing of this game for a game like that as you're going into the playoffs is kind of like, okay, we've been there, we understand kind of like the muscle memory of that sort of thing. I would think that kind of at least means something. I mean, every coach will try to grasp onto something and try and play it up to his team, saying, hey, you've been here, you've done this, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it could serve us in that sense that, we get into the playoffs and we're going to find a team that, wants to slow it down and grind it out and makes it harder for us to score, and maybe we have to value the ball and have longer possessions. There's always learning opportunities. And so, I think it was a really good opportunity for us to have that type of game and to know that we could stay in control. I mean, they came out hot. It was 10-2, and our guys just stayed very calm, very level-headed, and we just continued to just chip away at it. And I think second quarter was a really big quarter for us offensively. And then once we kind of took the lead and kind of widened the gap, like we just controlled the game from there. And so it'll serve us well. It will.
Sure. Donny, let's talk about the area playoff game on Thursday against Joshua. Their head coach is Rick Dixon. Has been there a couple of years. He absolutely has flipped that program around. They're having a phenomenal season. The Lady Owls are 34-4. And you had mentioned to me on the postgame show that you actually scrimmaged them before the start of this 25-26 season. They blew out Pascal on Monday night. Over at Pascal, they actually lost that flip 62-29. That was their playoff opener. Just overall thoughts on this matchup with them.
I'm excited about it. I have a lot of respect for Rick. That's why we scrimmaged him this year. He does a great job. Coach Dixon does a really good job with his kids and gets them to play hard. But when you're in February, I think teams need to rely on their schedule and what's prepared them for this. And I think by far our schedule has prepared us for this moment. Looking at Joshua's schedule, there's quite a difference in what they've played as opposed to us. So I'm hoping that our kids can rely on some of those experiences to get them over those little humps that might happen in the game tomorrow, because this is Joshua's Super Bowl. I mean, for them, it's a way for him and his kids to really validate them turning around the program. For them to beat a team like Aledo, it would really speak volumes for what they've done there. And so they're going to come in with a all-out aggression to try to really, punch us in the mouth and win that game because it sets their program up. So for us, we just have to understand that there's a greater sense of urgency for them in their minds, but we understand what our job is, and we understand what we need to do, and I feel like we'll not only match that intensity, but I think that we have the ability with our schedule and our experiences to really not only maximize that intensity, but bring forth another level.
Sure. Okay, so back to your scrimmage with them. Now, every team should be a far better version of themselves than what they were back in late October. So where do you think they've changed based on your scouting reports, what you've seen on film from that scrimmage from so long ago?
They're just a little more disciplined offensively. They do some different actions to try to get 14 the ball. They like to do some dribble handoffs, some fake handoffs, some just some stuff to try to get her going. And so when we played them in the scrimmage, it was more just bully ball with her, just kind of trying to get downhill and force a lot of things. Now they're a little more patient and trying to get her set up. I think they've kind of identified their roles as a team. Like certain girls only want to shoot the ball. Whereas opposed in the scrimmage, kind of think everybody was just kind of playing, trying to find out where they're at. Because last year they had a lot of seniors, and so they graduated a bulk of their lineup. And so the kids that they have in there now are bench players from last year that are still young. I mean, you're talking about some sophomores and a freshman.
Right.
I think now they've identified what their roles are, and I think they're a little more confident in what they do offensively.
All right. And I would think that if anyone on this roster, and we have 3 young ladies from this team here that are going to try and look ahead to the regional semifinals and possibly looking to Amarillo Tascosa, they better start now, because this Joshua team was actually ranked in early January before they lost to Cleburne. So that's a point to the young ladies sitting in the audience who are going to be playing in this game tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I mean, Joshua, when you win, it doesn't matter. Certainly your schedule has a little bit to do with your wins, but if you're used to winning, you kind of have a feel of how to win, right? And so they do have a lot of wins. 34 wins is a lot in 1 year. They're going to come in with the mindset that they can win this game. But like I said, I think that our seniors and our program has certainly been battle-tested and understands what it takes to get to that next level. So I'm excited about us being able to match that tomorrow.
Okay, now, Drew, back to your program. You said you weren't going to play a warm-up game this week, and you're not. What's been the things that you focus on this week, and maybe now since you know you're going to be playing Birdville?
Yeah, our focus is just on the things that I think we need to do really, really well. I mean, we talked right before we got on air. Birdville's the type of team that we're going to have to be very clean. Like, we can't have a lot of mistakes, and that's just the style that they play. They can take advantage of things. They like to get out and score quickly.
Sure.
I mean, their possessions don't typically last long unless they intentionally slow it down and try to get certain guys the ball in certain places. I mean, if they can get out and get a shot off in 5 or 6 seconds, they're going to do it. So transition defense is going to be really big for us this week as we continue to prep. Today we focused on transition offense. They got a couple guys that I think we want to make them try to run and keep up with us a little bit too. And then they're big. They've got some size. So rebounding, being really disciplined defensively and rebounding. I think we're really physical and tough defensively, and I think that could pose some problems for them. So just trying to lean in on some things that we do really well. And then just try to clean some things up that's going to make it hard for them to have to guard us.
You're talking about maybe your matchups here. If you guys can do certain things, maybe you can frustrate them a little bit too. If you, of course, game plans are what they are until you get a curveball, or as somebody likes to say, or as Mike Tyson used to say, you have a game plan until you get punched in the mouth and that sort of thing. But having said that, though, I mean, it's like, this is a great opportunity. We know that Birdville's credentials are what they are. As we mentioned at the top of this podcast, they played for a state championship last year, lost by only 6 points. They have a great tradition going there, kind of like what you all are trying to build here. So I would think that it's a situation that you tell your guys, look, this is a great opportunity. And it's kind of like you're kind of in the boat, if you will, kind of like what Joshua is versus Donny's team. You have to kind of make that point to your kids that you got to get over the hump, and they're trying to say, kind of taking the position of Donny's team is saying, remember who we are and establish what we are doing. So it's kind of two different mindsets here with both these programs. So just talk about what this opportunity could mean if you're able to pull it off on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. We actually talked about it today in practice, is that, we've kind of been overlooked and haven't had a lot of respect. I mean, we've won a lot of games and we've played really well. I mean, our average margin of victory is 15 plus points on the season. So we've gone to Colleyville tournament. We've played some big teams, and so it's an opportunity. Like we won district last year, turn around and repeat it this year. We go undefeated this year, so it was kind of a one-up from last year's performance. And we've done some things. The next real step is this type of game, and so it's a great opportunity. Like we should be excited for this. And we were kind of talking about that as we learned that it was going to shift from Ryan to Birdville. And I'm like, hey, we're still who we are. We still have the same strengths and the same opportunity in front of us, regardless of who we play. Game plan changes a little bit. But if you want to take that next step as a senior class, if you want to take that next step as a program, this is it. There's no other way to get it. Right. And so I think our guys are really motivated and still very focused. And I think a game like this, yes, it would put us in a really good place for this region. Even going into 6A, it puts us in a really good place. I think the conversations around Aledo basketball changed significantly with a win over.
Oh, without a doubt this year. Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, over what's happened here the last 3 years with this program. Maybe what happened 2 years ago was a nice story, and then when they won the district championship last year, it was also another nice story. But now, when it's kind of like when you get to that third year of something good happening, then it's kind of like, oh, we got a streak going here too. So there's something like that. And for your guys too, you have to look at it and say it's kind of like, to use the analogy of the first responder. You don't run from the fire, you run into the fire. That sort of thing. Final question for you gentlemen here, and Donny, I'll start with you first. Just final preparations and things that you're going to do for your team before you tip it off tomorrow night, or Thursday night rather, at 6:00.
We asked the seniors a lot on what they wanted to do tomorrow because we have an earlier shoot-around time. The game's at 6 o'clock, so we're trying to stay as much in routine as we did on Monday when we went to Colleyville. So we got a little plan together. We're going to get them out tomorrow half day and get some shots up before we go eat a little team dinner, and then get to Godley and get ready to go. We're going to review our scout reports before we leave. The kids have done a really good job. We split them up into teams, and they've each been accounted for a film, and so they've kind of brought their own little feedback to the table, so that's been really good. I think that's really helped their mindset. It really worked well against Colleyville, and I feel like it's kind of helping them really take ownership in their game planning. So I feel really good about the game plan tomorrow. I feel really good about our prep work. Like I said, Coach Baker graciously giving us those guys this week, because the guys can give us a different kind of athleticism and a different kind of length that our JV girls and our backups with our varsity girls can't give us. And so that's been a really good addition to our practices this week that I think has really helped us. So I'm excited about where we're at.
And then, Drew, for you, obviously a couple more days before you actually hit the court Tuesday up in Argyle. Just what are the things that you're working on? Is this tomorrow or Thursday and Friday a big install day, and then Friday's kind of like a review session, or how are these next days lay up, or I should say plan out before you play the game Tuesday?
Yeah, not a lot of install. I mean, we'll do a few things, just some wrinkles where maybe we stack two things that we already do. We're not going to do a lot of things that are unfamiliar. I mean, what we've done has served us really well.
Right.
And so I think leaning in on that, maybe making a few wrinkles here and there because of the personnel we're going to see. But we've kind of done that all year. Like when we see different type of personnel, different strengths from teams, we kind of adjust a little bit to some things. So, yeah, I think Thursday, Friday will be a little bit of that on the offensive side. And then really kind of walking our guys through what they do offensively, what their strengths are. I just think that's going to be a huge key for us, is our defense has been a big part of our year and our identity. And they've got two kids that are really good. They got one going to Lipscomb, and then they've got one that's going to St. Mary's in San Antonio. And they're really good. So having our guys prepared for where they like to score, actions they run for those guys, how to slow them down and frustrate them will be a big part of what we do the next 2 days as well.
All right, Donny, we'll see you Thursday. Drew, we'll see you Tuesday, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, gentlemen, thanks so much for this. And we want to remind you that this Aledo Coaches Show podcast is brought to you by H5 Sports Barn. H5 Sports Barn and Nye Physio and Performance can help unlock your athletic potential and elevate your game like the Aledo Bearcats. With expert sports physical therapy, tailored recovery plans, and top-notch sports performance training, H5 Sports Barn, proud supporters of the Aledo Bearcats. And by Hiley Mazda. Head to Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth today. Their new state-of-the-art facility is conveniently located just off of I-30, exit Las Vegas Trail, and experience top-notch service and hassle-free buying. Don't forget to ask about this month's special offers. Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth, family-owned and operated for over 30 years. Stick around. Second segment of the podcast comes up. We're going to be joined by Townes VanHuysen and Tiara Butler right after this timeout. Kevin Lonnquist back here at Parker County Brewing Company. Time now for our second segment of the Aledo Coaches Show podcast. It is playoff basketball season, but before we get to our players, just a couple of Aledo notables. State wrestling meet was this past weekend down in Cypress. Freshman Piper Wheeler became the first girl in Aledo history to qualify for the state meet. She finished in the 190-pound division at regional, finished second rather in the 190-pound division at regionals. At state, Wheeler placed seventh. And Brady Powell, you might remember him from the football team. He also finished seventh at the state meet, also in the 190-pound division. As for the team itself, the Aledo boys finished sixth at regionals, and at the District 5-5A meet, the Bearcats were second, the Lady Cats were third. State swimming meet is this coming weekend at the University of Texas down in Austin. Aledo is sending 5 swimmers. 2 boys relay teams are going to be there, but the individual swimmers are these: Julia Gordy in the girls 200 free, Cale Roberson in the 200 individual medley and 100 free, Ian Perez in the 100 butterfly. The 2 boys relay teams that are going down there are the 200 and 400 free style relay teams. Okay, pleased to be joined now by senior post Townes VanHuysen from the boys team and senior post Tiara Butler making her debut this season on the podcast. Good to see you both. Congratulations to you, Tiara, on the win on Monday.
Thank you.
And then congratulations to you, Townes, on finishing the district season undefeated.
Thank you.
All right, and both of these folks, are, of course, are district champions. And so, Tiara, I'll start with you. You had a couple days to digest Colleyville Heritage. Just overall thoughts about the way you all attacked that game from start to finish.
Yeah, we prepared for that game. We started off really strong going to the game. Kind of slowed down going to the third quarter, I'd say, but we finished strong.
For you, big first quarter, I think it was like 11 points, or I think you had 11 points in the first half, maybe 9 in the first quarter or something like that. But for you, When you get off to a quick start, what does that mean to your game and just starting quickly?
It gets me into a rhythm.
Mm-hmm. And I was going to ask you in terms of with Liz. Liz was talking about on their post-game show about she actually mentioned about how coming out at the half was been kind of an issue. You guys played a lot of district games where a lot of these games were lopsided. So there's kind of like that. The scoreboard, as I was talking to Coach Odd, the scoreboard is the scoreboard. So how do you guys make sure that you don't pay attention to that and you still kind of stay true to who you are?
We just have to stay focused and locked in. We do have a little inconsistency there, but we try to finish off strong, stay connected, stay locked in. And it's kind of hard sometimes, like when you have like a little bit of a lead, to keep going hard and pushing, but I think we do pretty good.
Okay. Now, Towns, for you, obviously great season. As we mentioned here, 26-6 undefeated district championship, 12-0. So it's kind of a specialty for both teams this year because they each went undefeated. But I guess what were the things that you and your teammates were doing this week to prepare? Again, as we found out Wednesday that we weren't going to find out how this was going to come down until Wednesday afternoon. Now you find out it's Birdville. And so, but the question I had for you is, do you all wish you had played this week in a warm-up game, or maybe this was the time to take the week off to save your legs because of whatever lies ahead?
I'd say this was a good week to have our bye because it gives us the opportunity to see what they've done. I mean, our coaches went and scouted out Birdville and Denton Ryan last night, and we just saw what they did, and it gives us time to prepare for whoever we were going to play. I mean, Monday and Tuesday, we thought we were going to get Denton Ryan, and so we had preparation on how fast they wanted to play, how aggressive up on us they wanted to play. But then we can shift our focus real quick to Birdville now and get ready for Tuesday.
I guess maybe the benefit, too, is that it isn't like a 24-hour notice, like you get short notice who you're going to play. You've got basically a full week to find out who you're going to play. So you've got some preparation in front of you on that. So
there was definitely we didn't have to watch film on anybody in our district and focus on them. We could just focus on who we're going to get first round.
Okay, so obviously we know that facing Birdville is a challenge, but this is part of the climb for a program that wants to be great. Coach Baker had just talked about that at the end of his segment with me. So just kind of talk about it from a player's perspective.
I mean, to be the best, you got to beat the best. And, I mean, last year they went to the state championship, so that speaks to them as a team. And it's going to be tough, but we knew whoever we got was going to be tough. That district is probably one of, if not the toughest district in Texas. But I like our chances and how we stack up against them.
All right, Tiara, for you, just last year you were coming in there trying to be a presence on the low block, and this year, obviously, you've had a tremendous season overall, nearly 13 points, 6.5 rebounds per game during the regular season, double-double in the opener against Colleyville Heritage. What do you think has changed for your game for the better this season?
I would say just tons of practice, getting used to the team. We got a lot of chemistry, learned to play well together, been to our roles and stuff. So
okay, and then for you, when you get into that flow, like we talked about a few moments ago, with a couple of the offensive putbacks where you were sent to the foul line, made all four of them too, by the way. But on that, just talk about a little bit as far as what does it mean to you though when you get a double-double? How does that change you just as a player, and how does that motivate you?
It's really motivating to keep going, keep pushing. Especially with a strong start like I had against Colleyville, really sets the flow of the game, starting off strong.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Joshua. Obviously, Coach Ott talked about them, but what do you see as your because you have some work to do on as an individual, you have to do your own scouting too and figure out things. So what are the challenges that the Lady Owls represent to you all?
They apply a lot of pressure, but we've been preparing for it. We brought the boys in, practiced with them. They all have their own roles, which Coach Ott talked about, but I think we've all watched film, prepared for it. I mean, going to playoffs, each team's progressively going to get harder and harder, but I think we're prepared.
So what is it going to take tomorrow? I mean, if you all are going to move on to the third round of the playoffs like you did last year, what do you think it's going to take on your end to do it?
Just to play as a team, follow the scouting report, apply pressure, move the ball well, just play as a team as we've been playing the last few games.
All right. And Towns, a couple questions for you before we wrap up here. I talked to Coach Baker about the fact that you guys played a game in your finale last week against Brewer where you only scored 49 points, and the fact that you have been playing at a more up-tempo style where you have scored over 60 points in each of the other district games. But winning a game like this, in the manner in which you all did, what does that mean for the mindset of a team, knowing that there's a couple ways that you can win a basketball game?
I mean, it shows us that we have the ability to slow the game down at certain points in time when we need to, and we also have the ability to get out and run because, I mean, we did score 60 points pretty much every other game in district besides that. But Brewer, we knew that they like to slow the pace. We practiced for them slowing down that pace, and we just prepared for a slower type of game. And I mean, 50 points against a team like Brewer when they hold most people to probably under 30 that's still pretty good in my opinion.
You know, you don't want to get supercharged about holding everybody accountable, which is obviously a mantra for every program here. But what's going to be important, I mean, not so much what Coach Baker and his staff are telling you, but just as a collective group, what's going to be important for you guys between now, collectively as a team, as you head into Tuesday's game?
I think just making sure we're all on the same page, making sure we all know what we need to do, know our matchups, know our advantages, our weaknesses, just know how we can exploit their advantages and their weaknesses. But at the same time, like I said, I like the way that we match up, and I think we got the matchup.
All right, and the important thing, too, last thing for you all, is the fact that you still get to wear the uniform because a lot of teams have already put those up for the year. So congratulations to you both on that. Good luck to you tomorrow, Tiara, on Thursday against Joshua. I'll see you there. And then Towns, I will see you on Tuesday up in Argyle against the Birdville Hawks. And we want to remind you that this Aledo Coaches Show podcast is brought to you by H5 Sports Barn. H5 Sports Barn and Nye Physio and Performance can help unlock your athletic potential and elevate your game like the Aledo Bearcats. With expert sports physical therapy, tailored recovery plans, and top-notch sports performance training, H5 Sports Barn, proud supporters of the Aledo Bearcats. And by Hiley Mazda. Head to Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth today. Their new state-of-the-art facility is conveniently located just off of I-30. Exit Las Vegas Trail and experience top-notch service and hassle-free buying. Don't forget to ask about this month's special offers. Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth, family-owned and operated for over 30 years. Again, a reminder that you can catch all of the Aledo boys and girls basketball playoff games streamed and for free on our high school sports website. That's ntxvarsitysports.com. The girls on Thursday at 5:30 with the pregame show, and then the tip-off against Joshua at 6 o'clock. The boys are next week on Tuesday. For my engineer, Zach Holmes, and the rest of the Hank FM staff, thank you all for being with us here at Parker County Brewing Company. We'll talk to you next week. Someday next week as we continue to talk playoff basketball. I'm Kevin Lonnquist. So long for the Aledo Coaches Show podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Aledo Coaches Show podcast, brought to you by H5 Sports Barn in Aledo and Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth. With the voice of the Bearcats, Kevin Lonnquist. Please like and subscribe to this podcast and tell a friend. You're also welcome to join us every Monday night at 7 from Parker County Brewing Company in Willow Park. It's the Aledo Coaches Show podcast, a presentation of Real Country 92.1, Hank FM, and NTXVarsitySports.com.